Hey, Doug, what do you want to do tonight?
Same thing we do every week, Todd. Try to record a podcast.
My brain's a rocket, can't sit still. Thoughts collide, they always spill. A million voices shout my name. Never boring, never tame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide.
Did you not hear the music?
I heard a little bit of the music.
Okay.
I wonder if it's doing that the thing with where it's
Okay.
muting
Yeah.
sounds.
I don't know what's going on, dude. At this point it doesn't matter. Let's just go. It really doesn't matter.
It is what it is. Hopefully everybody else heard the music.
Oh, they
And,
did. They absolutely heard it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to another episode of ADHP with Doug and Todd. I'm Doug. That's Todd.
Yep.
We got a little bit of technical hiccups here. There's always something new.
Every week it's something different. So it's just a matter of what's going to happen, if it's going to happen. It's not actually if it's going to what, you know.
It's just a roulette to see which one it's going to be.
Right.
So we're here recording live on Monday, June 9th, 2025, and it's Straight Pride. It's our Straight Pride episode.
Yeah. And we're on camera for the first time in 9 episodes. So
we're so proud of that. Now, of course, by Straight Pride, we just mean a couple of straight dudes talking about pride.
Yeah. That's why I was like, yeah.
So, pride, growing up in Seattle, pride's a pretty big part of our lives here, especially as a part of the comedy community. A lot of time spent amid the LGBTQ plus communities, and if it wasn't for those communities, there'd probably be a lot fewer arts and shows around our area.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd do an episode just kind of, for the people out there that maybe they ignore pride a little bit. They don't think about it very much. They aren't in the midst of any kind of a movement. We did kind of want to provide a little history of pride here and what it might mean for a couple of, straight cis people that, how important it still is to us, despite, not being affected members of the group, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
We're allies, but we can label ourselves whatever we want. Hopefully our actions show us to be allies. So I know a lot of questions that come up with people that are like, why pride? Why are you calling it pride? What are you proud of? Is it really a place to be proud of something? Isn't pride one of the 7 deadly sins? And the fact that and please feel free to interrupt me at any point, Todd. But the term pride comes from Craig Shoemaker, who was one of the founding members of the movement. We'll get more into that as we go here. But the way he summed it up in 2015 was, where people may not have equal rights or power, they have pride in their identity.
Yeah.
And looking to the National LGBTQ Task Force in their 2024 Pride statement, they noted, we celebrate Pride because we still live in a country where queer people are ashamed for being who they are. We celebrate to push back against hate. We create spaces that tell the world we all deserve to live freely without fear of violence.
Shame or fear, it's depending on where they're at in the country or in the world. Some places are absolutely not as recepting of that community. So,
and it wasn't too long ago where nowhere was. If we want to look here at a brief history of Pride, Um, Basically, Pride came out of the annual Reminder Day pickets, which were held on the 4th of July outside the Independence Hall in Philadelphia, so kind of where our nation was founded. They held these between 1965 and 1969. Basically, these pickets were organized by ERCO, which is the Eastern Regional Conference of Homophile Organizations. They were originally called ECHO. And there is a link to a 1968 video, comes from the Library of Congress, that we'll have that linked in the sources. So check out the podcast description to see those. And you'll notice that these Reminder Day pickets were far from Pride, what Pride is today. So these were primarily men in suits. What you'll see in these videos is primarily it's men in suits and women in dresses marching in organized picket lines through routes, through a park, through carnivals on 4th of July. And they're just holding signs that call for rights and awareness and marking all the different ways in which homosexual men and women and transgender people were being held back at the time. There's also the overlay of a spokesman being interviewed by the news, where he talks about how, if you could tell that somebody was gay just by looking at them, there'd be around 15 million more people out of work, and that was in 1968. And so it was kind of just a way to show visibility, to say, hey, we are people here in your world. We're just trying to live a life. And there wasn't really a lot of shock factor going on or anything like that in these early Reminder Day pickets. They literally were picketing different events to get their message out. But after Stonewall, which I'm sure many people have heard of, ERCO suggested that they shift focus from planning the Reminder Day picket to organizing an annual demonstration in commemoration of Stonewall. And so, what is Stonewall? In 1969, the Stoneway Inn was one of the most popular gay bars in New York City. Something I didn't know about it is that it was, but apparently it's the case with a lot of these more underground bars that are trying to stay out of the public eye. It was owned by the mafia.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And because it was owned by the mafia could kind of keep things under wraps and pay the right people to, so that, the news of certain clientele wouldn't get out and whatnot. But in New York City, throughout the state, it was illegal to serve an alcohol to a gay person until 1966. And in 1969, homosexuality was still considered a criminal offense. So due to this, a lot of the gay establishments did not have a liquor license. And that was an excuse that law enforcement often used to basically target and raid gay establishments, particularly like the Stonewall.
Okay.
And so they came one night to raid the Stonewall. And according to, I believe this is an account of a police officer who was working with Deputy Inspector Seymour Pine, he says the turning point came when the police had difficulty keeping a woman in a patrol car. 3 times she slid out and tried to walk away. The last time a cop bodily heaved her, so the crowd shrieked in response for police brutality. Apparently a few coins sailed through the air, which escalated, according to this cop, to nickels and quarters, a bottle and another bottle. And then that's when their commanding officer Pine decided to lock themselves inside the inn. And while they were inside, while they had locked themselves and barricaded themselves inside, they kept interrogating patrons and employees. So basically, anybody who was visibly gay, that meant like cross-dressing, or a lot of times it was cross-dressers here that got initially picked out, which is one of the sad things when people talk about, being pro-gay but not pro-transgender, because it's
right
all one and the same in terms of the gender bending personas are always the first to get noticed and called out, and it's always the easiest to round them up, and they were among the first people arrested at Stonewall. And this is, a lot of times people see about how gay men have kind of lead the front on this kind of stuff, and I just want to be clear that lesbians, drag queens, queer youth, transgender, and gender nonconforming people were an easy target for the police. And in 1969, you literally could not wear more than 3 items of clothing that did not match your assigned gender at birth.
Oh,
That was
wow.
part of, that was the New York Penal Code 240.35 subsection 4. This is again coming from the Library of Congress. So I didn't know that either. That literally, like, I don't know how you enforce that constitutionally, but like literally you could not wear more than 3 items that did not match your assigned gender, which is like, how do you decide what matches what? Like I guess we're just saying if you wear a dress, then we're gonna go after you.
Yeah, which is funny considering how a lot of the things that are considered feminine now, originally when they first were created, were made for men, like high heels.
Yeah, and that even that I didn't know about though. I mean, it's not surprising considering that, men have so long directed our world, and
Yeah.
women are lucky that there's
I
anything
mean,
left over for them,
it was
right?
like royals, people in the upper crust and whatever else you want to call it.
Wanted to appear taller, and
They wanted to appear taller. They wanted, oh yeah, and makeup and wigs were a guy thing too back then.
oh yeah,
Think of like the
even at the founding of our country.
yeah.
And after this uprising here at Stonewall, basically it spread quickly throughout the city. By that evening, thousands of protesters had gathered at the Stonewall and in surrounding areas. The protest continued into the next week, with another outbreak of intense fighting occurring on the following Wednesday. So the protest at the end lasted effectively for 6 days. Thousands of activists came to the end to show their support for the LGBTQIA plus community, and used the movement the moment to highlight the need for change. News of the riots reached coast to coast. And so this is the Stonewall event where 5 months later, during the ERCO conference in Philadelphia, activists proposed an annual march to commemorate the Stonewall riots. It would not be the organization's routine vigil of silence with men in jackets and ties and women in dresses. It was approved by ERCO, and it started as the Christopher Street Liberation Day Umbrella Committee, which met at the Oscar Wilde Bookshop on Christopher Street, and they planned the events for New York City. So the original Pride event was the Christopher Street Liberation Day. And so on June 28th, 1970, a sizable number of attendees made the 51-block-long walk from west of 6th Avenue at Waverly Place in Greenwich Village to Sheep's Meadow in Central Park. There were no floats, no music or dancing during the march itself. It was a clear political statement. And then at the end, where the protests and celebrations began, they held what they referred to as a gay-in. That was in New York. There's also 3 other cities that were participating in this major remembrance at the anniversary of Stonewall. So in Chicago on the day before, 150 people marched from Washington Square Park to the Civic Center in a similar fashion. That march was organized by the Gay Liberation Movement. In Los Angeles, people gathered on Hollywood Boulevard, organized by the Christopher Street West Association. The city requested $1.5 million in permit fees. The ACLU, which is the American Civil Liberties Union, stepped in to make sure that was the last of the excessive fees. So again, they tried to punish the people putting on these events by charging exorbitant permit fees. But thankfully, we do have an organization like the ACLU, which steps in these kind of situations.
Yeah.
You might not always agree with what the ACLU does, but it's good to support them. If you can be a member and put a little cash their way, they absolutely step up when we need it most. They were incredibly active during the first Trump term. They're still incredibly active now. The ACLU is really a backbone of having this kind of legislation, and it just makes it harder to do this kind of stuff in this day and age, because now the ACLU is going to step up if anything major like this were to be done again.
Right.
And it was with charging a group so much in permit fees just because you don't like what they're supporting. And then finally in San Francisco, there was a gay-in was held at Golden Gate Park on June 28th after a march down from the Polk Street. 2 years later, the Christopher Street West Parade, commonly known as Pride Parade, would grow to more than the estimated 15,000 guests and was held on Market Street. So Pride Parades are critical events that celebrate social and self-acceptance, achievements, and legal rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and other people across the globe. Excuse me. Where it began in 4 American cities, it has grown exponentially. The parade also serves as a reminder that more work needs to be done. The riot at the Stonewall Inn was only a little over 50 years ago. President Bill Clinton declared June to be Gay and Lesbian Pride Month for the first time in just 1999. The Stonewall Inn was declared the first LGBT National Historic Site by President Obama in 2016. And now here we are in 2025, and Trump won't even recognize Pride Month anymore.
Yeah.
So we are absolutely at a point where we are taking backward steps,
Yeah.
and that makes this year's Pride all the more important.
Leaps backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen, Justice Clarence Thomas and in his abortion ruling talking about how the court ought to reconsider Obergefell as well, which is the Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage countrywide. So we've had the World Pride DC. That event was just this past weekend. There may be continued events throughout the month. Seattle Pride is just getting started. Their big march is on June 28th, but they have events all month. There's the Mill Creek Pride Picnic on June 14th from 1 to 4 p.m. if you're in the Mill Creek area. There's a Pride Pet Vaccine Clinic where you can pay what you can vaccines for pets with queer parents. That's June 26th, 12 to 4 p.m. Go to the seattlepride.org/events link in our podcast notes to get the full event list. Gig Harbor's third annual Pride in the Park is June 21st at 11 a.m. There's Georgetown Pride 2025 on June 21st at 11, also at 11 a.m. Goes all day till 11 p.m. Bainbridge Pride Festival is also June 21st. The Fremont Queer Nature Walk is June 15th at 9 a.m. There's a ton on here. There's even a Pride Improv Comedy Night.
Nice.
If anybody's interested in that, that's June 18th at 8 p.m. And then getting even more local, Kidstap Pride, we're out in my area. They've got a lot of events too, but one of the big ones coming up is they have a Laugh with Pride. That's June 14th, 2025. Experience an unforgettable night of comedy at Laugh with Pride on June 14th at the Roxy Theater in Bremerton.
Nice.
It's hilarious LGBTQ plus comedians and a fabulous drag host in this one night only celebration of laughter and pride. So you're going to have comedy with Richie Armani, Nancy Jean Nally, Paul Curry, Jenna Nobbs, Genevieve Ferrari, and your host, Anita Spritzer. It's from 7 to 10 p.m. on Saturday, June 14th. So that's this coming Saturday. It's 18 plus with a valid ID.
Nice.
So yeah, if you're in the Kitsap area, definitely recommend checking that out. And before we move on, Todd, do you have any questions or any other comments on Pride 25?
Somebody asked me just a couple days ago. It's like, hey, how would you respond if like a trans woman was to hit on you? It's like, well, I mean, I would probably, if I didn't find them attractive, I mean, regardless of what plumbing they have, if they're not attractive to me, I'll probably be just like, thanks for the compliment or whatever. But honestly, I never really thought about it. It's not like I go out of my way thinking, I wonder if this person would be into me or anything like that. And it's like, and he goes, well, what about, and I'm like, honestly, dude, I never thought about it. I mean, I've never really had that kind of conversation with a trans woman before, and I don't really know what they have going on, if they've had the bottom surgery or not, or whatever. So it's never been like something that it never occurred to me to even think about it. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Honestly, as long as they're a good person and they're attractive.
If you're attracted to them,
yeah,
then you really can't evaluate the situation until you're attracted to somebody, and then it's like, okay, well, if I'm attracted to them, what do I?
Right, and they were like, well, wouldn't that make you, gay or something? I was like, being attracted to a woman who has different anatomy? I don't think so. I mean, it's, trans.
Right. Does it make you gay to be attracted to a trans man if they still have female anatomy, but they look like a boy and
they look more butch than you? Yeah.
Yeah. What side are we going to say it's gay either way? Like,
yeah. Well, it's just I was thinking it like this. It's like, I generally am not attracted to like very masculine presenting women. The so-called tomboy. I've never been interested in women who are like, you know, present as masculine or even just talk like a dude. Just in general, just not. I'm not interested. But and it's not something I've ever really thought about. And the more I think about it, it's like, you know what? Until I'm in that situation where
Mhm.
I'm flirting with someone who potentially has a different outdoor plumbing than I do, or plumbing situations in general, if it's indoor or outdoor.
Or the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just, you know, if it gets to the point where we're interested in romantic stuff, and I don't know, I might get to that point and see, you know, the appendages that are there, and I might change my mind. Which would really suck, because if I'm into that person up until that point, I don't know. I mean, I just, like I said, I've never really thought about it, and it's not something I've ever really considered until just a few days ago. And I don't know. I think they were just looking to see if what I would say, and you know, you know.
Yeah, it's hard to never know to take somebody like that seriously or not. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we're working on the premise that you're attracted to such a person, then what the hell? Why not be at least receptive of it as much as you would any
Right.
other person you're attracted to?
And the thing is this kind of falls in line. I've had these kinds of questions. Um, I, I'm just actually remembering it now. I had somebody ask me something similar back in, like, I think it was middle school. It's like, hey, would you be into so and so if you were a girl? And I'm like, I don't know. Probably, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a girl, so I don't know.
They're ridiculous questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they're trying to catch you in a, oh, dude, you're so gay, and I'm like, no, you asked me if I were a girl, and I'm not, and I don't know. So I'm not interested in pretty much anybody who's masculine presenting. It's just not a thing for me. So, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the only thing I would say about the whole like pride thing. I've been to pride parades in the past. It's been a number of years since I've gone, but I went to Seattle Pride. I think it was in 2009. I went with some friends. A friend of mine who just had just come out to me as trans. They moved to Seattle to get away from
Yeah.
their family, and just the atmosphere of where they grew up. And
And you knew them prior to their transition?
I mean, I met them. I think I met them a month or two before, and they uh, they hadn't started transitioning yet. They were still in the original body, and they hadn't done anything. They hadn't even been presenting as female at that point when I met them. And they said, "Hey, I'm going to go to the Pride Parade. You want to go?" I was like, "I've never gone, and I think it probably would piss off my dad. So yeah, let's do it." And my dad used to give me all kinds of hell for having gay friends, because he was extremely homophobic, like to the point of like, I don't want you hanging out with any queers. Like, why? It's not like they're gonna bite me and then I'm gonna turn into a gay werewolf or anything. It's just, it doesn't
You're a
work that.
gay vampire.
Yeah, a glittery vampire or a glittery werewolf.
Vampire.
Yeah, glampire. There you go. That's funny. But yeah, no, it's like, um, we're both nerds. We both like Star Wars. That's really the connection we have as far as our friendship goes.
Well, it accentuates the need for an event like Pride,
Yeah,
because it's like you need to be seen. Like, people need to be seen. It's like, hey, yeah, these are my friends. Like,
yeah,
that's one of the things that's most important to me, especially when it comes to like why I get so upset that the anti-transgender movement in so many ways is just the anti-gay agenda
yeah.
repackaging itself after having already lost the argument,
Right.
trying to weasel its way back in to get its way in some format.
You know what
But
really boggles my mind is when you see queer people, gay people in general, who are like talking shit about trans. Like,
I
they're not with
fortunately I
us.
don't see that too often,
I mean,
but that would be heartbreaking.
I
Yeah.
don't. I have not seen anybody like that in the Pacific Northwest. The person I saw that was talking like this, I guess, was from like Florida somewhere, and they were like, They were like very flamboyant. They had makeup on their face. They were in stylized hair, and they had their nails done, and they were talking like Big Gay Al from South Park, but they
Okay.
were saying hateful shit about trans people.
Yeah.
And it's like, and the person responding to them was like, "Babe, you're part of the same community. What are you doing?" I'm like, that was. I mean, I wouldn't have said babe, but I'm thinking, dude,
Hey. Oh.
you're part of the same community. Why are you shitting on this other person? Because, and and the sheer number of people I've seen like with the whole bathroom thing, the whole public bathroom thing, freaking out, that trans women are going into bathrooms, protecting my little girl. It's like I don't see anybody mentioning how trans men are now in some places are being required to use the bathroom of their gender at birth,
Right. And
and
and now you have somebody that it always looks like a man in the
and they
women's
and they
back.
and they look like a dude from Duck Dynasty. Okay, like full
Right.
beard, and like they were just they look like they've been working out. I was like, you would have never known this person was trans had they not walked into the ladies' room.
And it's not like, um, it's not like most bathrooms are keeping any, but most bathrooms don't have a lock on the door. Like
Yeah,
when it comes to public restrooms, like if a guy wants to barge in and do something bad in a woman's restroom,
he's going to
those,
do. He's not going to put on a dress just to sneak
yeah,
in.
he can
He's just
already
going to
do it.
walk in.
And
He,
and the solution, honestly, is just have more single occupancy bathrooms, which I think is nicer for everyone involved.
right, and
But
yeah, it's. I had a heated conversation about 6 years ago with a former friend of mine who was going on about this. Is like, what's stopping the predators from doing it now? They just walk into the ladies' room, and there's nothing that women in there are going to be able to do to stop it. These guys are not going to go through the psychological evaluations and the medications and all the things that you have to do in order to transition to a female, just so
right,
they can
just
walk
just
into
for
the
the,
bathroom without any
yeah,
trouble. That's not going to be a
it's
thing.
absurd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the vast majority of people who don't have gay friends, who don't have trans friends, are unaware of this. That you have to go through years, not just hey, doctor, I'm thinking I want to transition. Oh, okay. Well, here's some medication to start your boobs to grow. It doesn't work like that. They have to go through psychological
Yeah,
evaluations
there's so much.
over the span of multiple years. It's not just a hey, I decided this weekend I'm gonna lop off my dick and grow boobs. No, it doesn't work that way. And they can't. The other thing that really bugs me is the people that believe that this is happening to children at school, and then they come home as a girl or a boy.
Right.
That's not how it works. It doesn't work
No,
that way.
but Trump does like to spread that lie.
So, all right, so we can move on.
Yeah, well, and I just wanted to say that, like, for me, you were talking about your friend that came out to you as being as going as transitioning,
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that, like, why I'm such a stalwart supporter. Even if I don't necessarily understand the urge myself,
yeah,
I'm still a total supporter of people who are trans because it's ultimately about people being themselves.
yeah, and
I've had friends that they were in my social circle as one gender, but I never ever got to know them. And then they transitioned, and once they transitioned, I finally got to meet them and finally got to spend time with them, and they became a friend of mine. And it's like I've actually got to know the real person once they transitioned. And
nice.
it's like, or like if somebody's a gay person in the closet, you don't really get to meet the real person until they're out of the closet. It's
Right,
just so much of this is just about being who you are and being welcome to that, because then I get to meet more people. I get to know more people,
right,
and I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, are people just torturing themselves because they feel like this world doesn't want them? And the Pride movement over 50 years has basically set so many people free to allow them to be themselves, and we
right.
are all the better for it. Every one of us.
Yeah,
All right, Todd. Now with that, you want to take us to news of the week?
yeah. Hold on, let's see. Which button is it? Forgot what button it was. Here we go. I'm gonna play
Just
it.
press
Then
them all.
I played the music.
And now it's time for our weekly news. We're breaking down the key stories shaping our world, from policy shifts to the latest in global affairs. Let's dive in.
News of the week. So we got just a few stories here. Basically, um, not much happened this past week, right? Not a whole lot of news to talk about. Uh, but the first thing I do want to talk about before we get to the stories that everybody's already heard about, because we'll gish on that a little bit. But one of the stories we've been following throughout the life of this podcast is the Kilmar Abrego Garcia story.
Right.
He was the Maryland man that was wrongfully
Detained,
deported to the CCOT in Guatemala. Sorry, did I get Guatemala correctly?
Yeah, I think so.
El Salvador.
Oh, that's
my-
right. Yeah.
I knew that sounded wrong at first. But he was wrongfully deported to the CCOT prison in El Salvador. As soon as people in America made a stink about it, he was released. We went over that timeline about basically the Supreme Court made a decision. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was immediately moved to a lower security facility, which is where he was met by the United States congressman or senator. And at the time, the Trump people just kept saying he would not return home. There's no situation where he gets to come back to America. But at the same time, the Supreme Court was saying you must facilitate his return. Well, it finally happened. In April, a unanimous Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate Abrego Garcia's return to the United States. The Trump administration insisted that Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13, which there's no evidence of. But now he has finally been brought back to America, except rather than bringing him home to Maryland, where he was when he was wrongfully detained, they took him to Tennessee to face charges which they just unsealed, charges that were entered and sealed in May.
What?
So the indictment against Abrego Garcia alleges that he and co-conspirators worked with people in other countries to transport immigrants from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Ecuador, and Mexico, and then took the people from Houston to Maryland, often varying their routes and coming up with cover stories about construction if they were pulled over. This is all manufactured to make him sound guilty when all they have on him is he was pulled over at one time in Tennessee for speeding when he was returning from a construction trip to Missouri. So they have that one thing, and now they're trying to say that was actually evidence of human trafficking, but they did not even start this case against him until after he was already ruled to have been improperly taken. So it's all about retroactively trying to punish him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Canada, can
So-
you please just come down and take us from them?
Right?
I
Or
mean,
take them from us. Yeah.
I'm watching this slideshow, and every once in a while those leather ponies will pop up, and I'm like, oh my god. See, the thing is because of the circle of friends I have that are part of this community, the Pride community, some of them are a part of another community of BDSM and leathers and domination, all that kind of stuff. I have friends that are a part of both of those communities, so every time I see those, it reminds me of a couple different friends. And in the late '90s, early 2000s, I was invited to a play party where people would,
Like Google Play?
No. No, play parties are when people get chained up and the implements of torture. I guess you could call it torture. I mean, to the average person, it's torture. To these people, it's fun. Getting spanked and they getting flogged and all that kind of stuff. And I went to this because my friend's like, "Hey, you should come. You should check this out. This is what we do on the weekends." I'm like, "Okay, I'm down. I'm open-minded. I'm and a lot curious as to what this really entails because the things you hear about and the things you see in the media, like movies and stuff, are not what happens in real life." Um, the only thing I really remember from that night was hearing somebody say, "You hit like a bitch" is not a good safe word. And then I heard some very heavy chains rattling. And I'm like, oh my God. I don't know what's going on. I don't really want to see what's going on. I've heard enough. I'm good. And same night, same place. Somebody else was like, hey, this dude is into cigars and getting put out on him. Do you want to come and watch? I'm like, what is he getting? Where is this cigar getting put out? It's like on the on the head of his. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he uses that he lets other people use it as an ashtray. I'm like, no, I'm good. I mean, the visuals I'm already putting in my head are sufficiently traumatizing. I don't really need to see this in real time.
Yeah, no kink shaming, but it's not for everybody.
It's not for me. That's a hard no for me. Just being present in being a witness. I don't want to be a witness. I don't need to see something like that. And I mean, and just, and that the pony play is not something I've ever witnessed in person, but I've been sent a number of videos over the years from these friends. Like, check this out. I'm like,
you're gonna end up with a federal investigation wanting to know who these people are.
yeah. Well, I mean, this also happened like 10 plus years ago, so I don't know if there's a statute of limitation for any of this kind of thing, but if there's anything, I don't think this kind of thing is even illegal in this state, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, like I went to a handful of events after that, and after a while I just stopped going just because it wasn't
Your thing.
it wasn't my thing, and I was there more or less just to hang out with my friends. I was socializing with my friends who really were into it, and because of my exposure to that, I did date a woman that was into that kind of thing, and privately things would happen, but it was never something that I went out of my way to seek out. So,
But you can say that you didn't hide from it, you didn't shun from it, you checked it out.
did it squib me a little bit? Yeah. I mean, I got a little weirded out, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this is so fucking weird, and ran out like a madman. But I kind of wanted to at one point. But it's what two consenting adults do behind closed doors is their business.
And speaking of consenting adults, one of the things that the Abrego Garcia case really wanted to highlight is that the government's been saying that they didn't have the ability to bring Garcia back, but as soon as they had this lawsuit ready to unseal, suddenly the government had a convenient ability to return Abrego Garcia for a press conference, unveiling his indictment, which puts a lie to its previously feigned powerlessness to comply with the court's injunction, which is what Abrego Garcia's attorney said in reference to Pam Bondi's announcement on Friday afternoon that Abrego Garcia was back in the United States. A Justice Department official, when contacted for comment, referred ABC News to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's statement on Friday that he believed the Maryland case was now moot. There's a big difference between what the state of play was before the indictment and after the indictment, Blanche said. And so the reason why he is back and was returned was because of an arrest warrant, which was presented to the government and in El Salvador. So there's a big difference there as far as whether it makes the ongoing litigation in Maryland moot. They say they would think so, but Abrego Garcia's lawyer's point is that the judge's ruling was that he needs to be returned and processes need to go as if he was never removed. So the fact that they took him to Tennessee instead of back to Maryland is itself a problem.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're only pulling they're only filing this indictment against him because of it only happened in May after everything had already gone wrong. So we're going to keep paying attention to this, but more than likely, well, I don't know what's likely in this case, but I would certainly hope that he'll be able to beat these charges, since they are so obviously trumped up, pun intended.
Trumped up. Sorry.
And then in the more fun news this week, Trump and Musk have broken up. I'm sure anybody
Oh
listening to this already is
no.
aware. But yeah, your favorite power couple is on the splits. Trump or Musk is no longer, he's become persona non grata at the White House.
Yeah.
And now Trump and Musk are hate tweeting each other, including Musk talking about that the reason the Epstein files haven't been released are because Trump is in them.
Yep.
We'll go figure.
We're like, yeah, and water is wet and the world is round.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem is it doesn't seem to really be hurting Trump at all because everybody just assumes he's in there anyways, and that's already baked into the news.
I think we just lost the one flat earther that listens to us.
Oh no, did we have one of those?
No, I'm kidding.
What have you seen from this breakup, Todd?
I think it's I've seen a lot of people think that it's staged. I don't know if it is. I don't think it is. But I think it's hilarious. I mean,
there might be a certain level of staging into the effect of like they're both happy with this distraction, while other things are going on behind the scenes, because basically everything Musk has been working on is now under the control of Peter Thiel. Well, they were always working together anyways. So now they're looking to Palantir, which is Peter Thiel's company, to basically take everyone's data and make personal profiles of all of us.
I already have a personal
returns.
profile. I don't need theirs.
Yeah. So we'll see what comes of this. It's definitely was a fun. We'll see if it gets any worse. Reportedly, I've seen things that Trump has. I certainly saw a Trump tweet that he was threatening to cancel all of Musk's contracts, and then it almost seemed like Musk responded in a way where that had actually happened, but I don't know if any of that's actually happened or not. So we'll keep an eye on the Trump-Musk breakup, I guess, as things go on here. And then in the spirit of resistance and protest, which of course is what Prime was born in, as we went over earlier, we're now in the midst of ICE raids leading to authoritarian crackdowns. So
yeah, it's all happening down in LA the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, so Trump basically, the Trump people basically planned a 30-day assault on different ICE raids throughout the LA County. And they were designed to trigger reactions so that Trump could declare, basically make an authoritarian crackdown.
Yeah.
Declare martial law or invoke certain different codes. And so I want to look to the Alt National Park Service for basically a recap of what's been going on. So if you're not following Alt National Park Service on Facebook or Blue Sky or whatever social media you use, you definitely want to give them a follow. They are people working inside the government that are working to actually disseminate real news, to resist where they can. They are our people on the inside giving us updates. And that's definitely the best follow you can do if you haven't already, is Alt National Park Service. So they warned us yesterday that ICE is planning 30 days of immigration raids across Los Angeles County. So they advise people to set up a support system, identify a safe place, and stay alert.
I saw a video today on Instagram of police officers yelling at a group of people to back up, and if this person that they're screaming about needs medical help, they need to call an ambulance. It's like, no, that's your job. Besides, you're the ones who shot her with the rubber bullets in her head. This woman got shot in the head with a rubber bullet, and she was bleeding everywhere. And they're like, well, this is your fault. It's like, you're the one that pulled the trigger, dude. This is your fault.
Well, and they've been aiming at international journalists too. We know of at least 2 international journalists.
Too. She got shot in the ankle,
with rubber bullets, or somebody might even got hit directly with a tear gas can, like they fired it right into their back.
Oh wow.
And so the National Park Service has there's some of their posts for the last couple of days. So California didn't need military intervention in the wake of sweeping ICE raids across Los Angeles, which targeted immigrant communities and led to the arrest of dozens of undocumented individuals. And they were doing these raids at like Home Depot parking lots and that kind of stuff. Like they're not getting criminals; they're just getting people that are here to work.
Yeah.
And the demonstrations were forceful but overwhelmingly peaceful. Even the Los Angeles Police Department publicly stated that the situation was under control. Local and state leaders, including Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, condemned the raids but called for calm. There was no request nor need for federal troops. Despite this, the Trump administration acted unilaterally. Citing vague claims of riots and lawlessness, Trump federalized 2,000 National Guard troops under Title X, stripping Governor Newsom of command and placing California's Guard directly under presidential control. This is a highly unusual, provocative move, as it bypasses the consent of state leadership and circumvents the typical protocol where governors would take control unless the Insurrection Act is invoked. Trump has not invoked the Insurrection Act, so the way he's directing the National Guard right now is not according to protocol.
Wow.
We go on. There's reports and video shows flashbang thrown into piles of debris just before a car caught fire.
I saw a video of that car too, yeah.
Yeah, strongly suggesting it was law enforcement, not protesters who sparked it. And then here's some facts of the situation that they've put down yesterday morning. Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass both publicly stated they did not request National Guard assistance.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, National Guard deployment requires state approval unless the insurrection is involved, which Trump has not done. The Department of Homeland Security claimed about 1,000 rioters were involved. Meanwhile, Reuters explicitly stated that number could not be verified. No arrests, property damage, or injuries matched the scale of that claim in public records or independent media. LAPD and local sheriffs reported protests were largely peaceful, especially during the day before Trump escalation. Some tensions flared in Paramount and downtown LA, but no reports of organized looting or widespread property destruction emerged. Reporters on the ground, including from LAist, KPCC, and Reuters, reported being tear-gassed or pushed back despite clearly identifying themselves as press. Multiple journalists were caught on camera saying, "We're press," as flashbangs or tear gas were deployed nearby.
Yeah.
Video footage and timeline analysis show a flashbang grenade thrown into debris shortly before a car caught fire. No evidence has emerged that protesters intentionally started that fire. Video footage reviewed by The Guardian and Washington Post showed flashbangs, tear gas, and rubber bullets deployed against protesters without clear provocation. Protesters were often seen dispersing or shielding themselves, not advancing aggressively. Trump placed the National Guard under federal control, bypassing state authority, which is a rare and provocative move that violates the 10th Amendment unless the Insurrection Act is formally invoked. And again, that hasn't happened. So basically what we're seeing here is kind of like the Washington Square events of his first presidency, where Trump activated the National Guard protests that were going on at the Capitol, and they basically just marched through. Trump decided he would march through the protests so that the National Guard had to clear out his way, and that was where he had the upside down Bible for that photo op.
Oh yeah.
And that's all this is. It's just that move again. He's inciting and acting like there's a riot so that he can do this authoritarian move and have the news stories about how tough on these people he's being. It's all just about flexing his muscles.
Muscle. He got no muscle.
Well, with the power of the United States government and military, he's got some muscle.
Yeah, I mean, just that. I'm talking about, like, he's a flabby, like, nearly 80-year-old man, so he's... I got more muscle than he does.
And yesterday, the LAPD released a statement calling the protests peaceful. They had no reason to do that, except that it's true. Meanwhile, the administration is planting instigators and inflaming tensions to justify its own lawless actions.
Yep.
No one, not even Trump, gets to trample the Constitution.
He'll do it, though.
And then Trump also put the Marine Corps on prepare to deploy orders, which is absurd and crazy. You're not supposed to use the military to police Americans. And again, it's just insane. And then to add on top of this, just trying to add fuel to the fire, people like Ted Cruz, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, are out here with video of LAPD cars on fire with the caption, "This is not peaceful," except that that's footage from 2020, not 2025.
Right.
And other people are parroting these 2020 footage and calling it 2025.
Yeah. Fuck Ted Cruz.
So that's what we're dealing with down in LA right now. If you're down there in LA, stay strong, be safe, protest peacefully with others in an organized way. Join your local indivisible group or other organization groups. We always provide 3 links for things you can do in our podcast notes. Those are always the first 3 links in this right before the sources. So we'll have those 3 in the group again. Just a reminder what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 5calls.org. So that gets you to call your congressman or your senator and challenges you to make 5 calls on a variety of topics you can choose from. Just pick any 5 and make a call on them. And then mobilize.us, that's what I use to register for protests. And that also got me hooked up with an email list where they have regular meetings to go over safety, make sure that we have people there providing water, make sure that we have people there addressing safety concerns and how to de-escalate. Basically, they offer some de-escalation training. And then we even have a Google Doc that we link to that we got from another YouTuber, which are some actions that are not protesting or voting, just some other things you can do to be politically engaged. And again, those will be the first 3 links offered in our show description. And with that, Todd, unless you have any other thoughts on the ice raids, you can take us to Let's Geek.
All right.
Welcome to What's Geek this week. We're going for the coolest in pop culture tech and nerdy news. Let's dive in.
All right. So, yeah, I found a bunch of stories late last night when I couldn't sleep because I don't do well in the heat, and it's been getting warm here in Washington State lately. So I've been up until it's cool enough for me to fall asleep. The first story I came up with here is they're looking for the guitar from Back to the Future. It disappeared at some point during production of the movie, and they are looking for it. And this video has like Michael J. Fox and Huey Lewis and Christopher Lloyd and I can't remember her name off the top of my head, the woman who played Lorraine. But either way, the cast of the movie is in this video saying, hey, it's been 40 years since the movie came out, and we're trying to find this guitar. Maybe it got packed up in a Teamsters vehicle by mistake, or it was not labeled correctly when packing things away. They're trying to find it. So I thought that was an interesting story. It's on Nerdist.com. Let's see here. Continue without support. Yeah, I don't want to undo the pop-up ads or the blocker. It says here, 40 years ago, Michael J. Fox made a cinema history when he shredded his Gibson ES 345 guitar in 1955 Hail Valley in Back to the Future. He couldn't have known it at all time of the filming, but that scene would help make his Marty McFly one of the most iconic movie characters of all time. Sadly, that cherry red guitar went missing not long after and has remained so. Now, via Entertainment Weekly, we've learned about an upcoming documentary called Lost to the Future, and it's all about the search for Marty's missing guitar, where he played Johnny B. Good for stunned teens at the Enchanted Under the Sea dance. You can watch the teaser below, and it has that teaser that I was talking about. I didn't realize, after reading it, I realized it's a documentary. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary now, but yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're putting their feelers out there to try to find it, because I know other pop culture things that have been missing for decades in the last 6 or 7 years have come up, being found. Like somebody found in the last 4 or 5 years the ruby slippers from from the Wizard of Oz. They went missing sometime in the 50s, I think. And somebody recently in the last few years have found them, and they're on display, I guess, back where they were stolen from, at the museum in Kansas, I think. But yeah, this let's see, does it say where the documentary is going to be able to be seen? Probably going to be on like Max. Let's see. Just go to lostofthefuture.com or call or text 1-855-345-1955 if you know anything about the guitar. But as far as the release, I should have read this beforehand. I never do. But yeah, I will look for it, and I'll post whatever the where it's gonna end up. I'm sure it says here, and I'm just not seeing it. So, what do you think, Doug?
Well, I'm a big fan of Back to the Future. I'm trying to decide if I'm that interested in what happened to that guitar. Like,
I mean, at the very least, you'll have some cool interviews, and they'll probably share some stories about filming with the guitar and that scenes and all that stuff. So,
yeah, if it's just an excuse to get an angle on a Back to the Future documentary, then sure, why not?
all right. Next story I have is apparently there's going to be a sequel to the Lindsay Lohan Freaky Friday.
And this is a little bit of a freaky coincidence because I literally just saw this movie for the first time this week.
Really?
My wife put it on for the kids.
Did you ever watch the original one with Haley Mills?
The old one, like
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
60s or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think my mom liked that movie, so I may have seen that one. But this is a sequel to the 99 or 2002 movie, whatever that was from.
Yeah, I think I think it came out in the 90s. Says normally we're not really pro sequels for movies that don't seem like they ever needed one, but we're willing to make an exception for Disney's Freaky Friday sequel, Freakier Friday. Honestly, there's been a dearth of movies aimed at teens in our lives, and even though technically Freakier Friday is probably hitting millennials harder than anyone else, if Freakier Friday, their trailer is anything to go by, the sequel movie seemed to have captured a sincere spirit of the early aughts teen movie, and so we applaud it. I don't know. I thought that movie came out like the late 90s. Maybe it was like early 2000s. But Jamie Lee Curtis is coming back as mom, and I guess now Lindsay's character has a daughter of her own, and it happens again, but this time it's not just Lindsay and I just said her name. I got it. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Yeah. So because I guess the daughter has a friend over for a sleepover or whatever, the five of them all like change bodies. So everybody wakes up the next morning, and
That's gonna be a 5-way Freaky Friday.
yeah. So
Freaky 5-way.
oh man, insert
That may have been at one of your play parties.
insert some Diddy jokes in here. But yeah, so it's more people, and it's between the mom, the daughter, and the grandmother, and the daughter and the granddaughter's bestie or whatever, and yeah. So I mean, it will certainly, I think it will be better than the musical they came out with like 3 years ago. There was a musical version of Freaky Friday that I watched because I liked the original movie from the 60s, and I kind of enjoyed the remake in the early aughts. But the musical was, it almost felt like it was, when you see a project and then they want to they want to make it fun or lively or whatever, and they add in a song or two. And like, it's not necessary to make it a musical. So, but I'm curious about this. I'm sure it will probably go straight to like Disney Plus if it's not going to be in theaters. Um, I don't know. I think I'd be into watching it at least to start off with. I don't know if I'll watch the entire thing if it ends up being as bad as the musical.
I'm sure my wife will want to see this, so I'll probably
I
end
guess
up seeing it one
it
day or another.
releases on August 8th, and it's a Friday. So it doesn't
Of course.
say if it's going to be in theaters or if it's going to be on Disney Plus. So I'm
It
assuming it's going
It
to
looks like it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Okay. I just didn't see it.
I don't see that stated. I just looking at the logo, it just looks and watching the trailer, it just looks like a Disney Plus.
If
It
nothing
looks like a
else,
Disney Plus series.
keep an eye out on your favorite nerd blogs or whatever, and I'm sure that someone will post about it. Let's see, next story I have here.
Oh, wait! It is only in theaters on August 8th.
Oh, look at that!
There you go.
Sweet,
I
even
was
better.
I was absolutely wrong.
So,
It was first time for everything.
guess the next story is about the new James Gunn Superman movie. Superman is now locked, says James Gunn as he confirms the runtime. It's going to be 2 hours and 9 minutes. So let's hope it's a good movie, because 2 hours and 9 minutes is a long time to sit through a movie if you're not enjoying yourself.
That's for sure.
I have no preconceived notions of what this movie is going to be like. I'm just going to go in and expect to see Superman fly and possibly pick things up over his head and, maybe, bend things with his bare hands. That kind of stuff. That's the kind of things I'm expecting to see. I'm not expecting like Oscar-worthy performances, because it is, after all, a superhero movie. And honestly, I don't know if any of the in the last decade, if any of those movies got any awards for anything other than special effects.
The Superman, no, I think Batman wins all the awards.
Yeah, I think I think the last one to win any awards was probably Donner's Superman back in the 70s,
Yeah, I don't know.
early 80s.
But I know I'm excited for a James Gunn movie. Like he, after seeing what he did with Suicide Squad, after how
Right.
terrible the original Suicide Squad was, like, and being a huge fan of his Marvel work, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy, even though I had no idea who they were before I
I
saw
didn't
the first
either.
movie.
I was just a little bit aware of Rocket Raccoon, only because I think I saw him in on the shelf someplace, and I think I was maybe mildly aware of Groot. Beyond that, I didn't know who any of those other people were.
Yeah, I had no idea about any of them, and they became, volumes 1 and 2 are two of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. Volume 3 is also great. The parts of Infinity War that James Gunn wrote and directed are my favorite parts of Infinity War.
Right.
Like he's definitely, it's a big blow to Marvel. Like, that's my thing, is I'm more hurt that he's out of Marvel movies than I am excited for him making DC movies, just because I'm a Marvel guy. I don't really care about DC
Yeah.
that much.
I'm looking forward
But
to
he got
seeing
me to
how
care about the Suicide Squad. So
Yeah.
can he get me to care about Superman?
I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with the DC universe, because knowing he is a fan of comic books in general, and specifically Batman and Superman, I think I'm looking forward to seeing his fan take, and him being a fantastic writer and director, how he handles those storylines. I'm grateful that he's not going to be doing any origin stories on people we've already seen their origins multiple times already. I'm grateful of that, because I know that one friend of mine, George, he was like, I don't want to see any more Spider-Man, because I've already seen all the other ones, and every single one of them has the Uncle Ben storyline and the, getting bit by a spider story. I don't care. Let's go on with other things that we know that Spider-Man has done that we have not seen on camera. And I was like, wow, I never thought of it like that. But yeah, I mean, the Andrew Garfield version of Spider-Man the spider sequence where he gets bit really kind of triggered me because I'm arachnophobic, and he was in a room was just covered in spiders, and it fucking freaked me out. I actually had to close my eyes for a few minutes and say, "Are the spiders gone yet?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're good." I was like,
Sounds like a nightmare I've had
and
once.
he goes, "How is it you're afraid of spiders, but Spider-Man is one of your favorite superheroes?" I was like, "Cause he's not a bug, and he doesn't bite
He's a
people.
man.
He doesn't bite people. If he was going around biting people like a fucking vampire as Spider-Man, I would probably not like him."
Did we talk about the Netflix Adam Sandler movie Spaceman? Did we talk about that yet?
I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast
On
or
the
not. I know I think I talked to somebody about it recently. It might have been you. I
Is
haven't
the-
seen it. I haven't watched the entire thing because I saw a screenshot of the giant spider, and I'm like, no, I don't need to see this. I really don't.
Well, that's the thing is, I had no idea. There's nothing about it that would make you think that there's a giant spider in it, especially if you just pull it up on Netflix and
Yeah.
read the description. And I put it on to see if it was something that my wife and I might want to watch one night.
Yeah.
And it's Adam Sandler, but in a serious role. I always like it when a comic silly guy plays a serious role. They usually do some of the best work of their careers.
Right? I mean, Robin
Um,
Williams did some of his best work when he was doing dramas. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've liked Adam Sandler in some serious roles before. So I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, this is it's got an eerie feel. It's very lonesome movie, but kind of a nice. Wouldn't be a bad date night movie. But my wife, like you, is arachnophobic, and so all of a sudden he's hearing this voice, and then he finally finds what's talking to him, and it's the giant ass spider. And I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
nope, we
Yeah.
can't watch this one.
I saw that screenshot of that. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that. Either I saw a screenshot of it, or I did try to watch it, and I got as far as seeing the silhouette of the spider thing, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna watch this, and turned it off.
And the whole rest of the movie is just him having this relationship with the spider, and
Oh man.
it's weird. I stopped watching after a while.
Yeah.
Once I knew I wasn't gonna watch it with my wife, my
You're
speed ran out
you're
pretty
like,
quick.
I don't really care to see this.
I started watching reviews for it to see if it would be worth continuing, and everything was like, not really. Here's the
Yeah.
synopsis of what happens. Like they didn't really hate on it. If you want to go watch it and you're into spiders, you might enjoy it. But
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no. So
it's a movie about a man losing his wife but gaining a spider.
yeah, that's exciting. And here's a transition for you guys. The new MCU Spider-Man movie, Brand New Day, rumor teases that the actress Nicole Kidman may be up for a role of a villain. The rumor mill often the rumor mill works overtime in contradicting itself, but never has that been more clear than with Spider-Man Brand New Day. The internet has been absolutely flooded with reports about the MCU's next leading antagonist would be, with everyone from Mephisto to Tombstone being said to take a role. This not to mention the supposed concept art leaks that don't line up with anything that anyone has heard about from the film. So who's she playing? It says here, of course, given how little fans know about Spider-Man Brand New Day, it's hard to exactly place what villain Nicole Kidman might play. If this rumor is true, going back to the oldest reports, there were some speculating that the film could loosely adapt Spider Island, suggesting that Kidman could be taking the role of Spider Queen that transforms people into spiders. Oh my God! As much as I love Spider-Man,
They're doing it to you, Todd. They're
I
doing
don't.
it to you.
I don't know if
We're
I'm
going
going to
to take
see
the
this
men and turn them
movie.
all into a bunch of
I'm
tiny
glad I'm
spiders.
reading this article now and not going and seeing it in theaters. The only times I've gone to a movie and was surprised by like mutant spiders was Harry Potter. I didn't know that there was going to be a giant spider because I'd never read the books, and so when we see his pet spiders, like, oh, that's kind of creepy. I don't want to see any more of that. And then then there's that scene where they follow all the little spiders off into the woods. I'm like, no, don't follow the little spiders into the woods. That's gonna be bad for you. my my mom was like, "Shut up." But yeah, no, I actually as real life spiders go, I'm not as terrified as I used to be. But like anytime there's like a crazy looking spider in a movie or just something that looks big enough to eat people, I'm not interested. But yeah, I'm this movie comes out on July 31st, 2026, so like a year and a few months away.
We'll see if that sticks. Yeah, it's far enough out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you never know, man. Sometimes these guys have it spot on, and other times it's a lot of like misdirection. So, all right, next story on the What's Geek this week. Speaking of Harry Potter, everything seems to be kind of falling in place. This things I'm talking about just happen to be about the things that we're going to be talking about. I saw a video of Tom Felton being interviewed just a day or two ago, and he apparently is coming back as Malfoy for the Broadway version of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And he says he's looking forward to playing Malfoy again as an adult. And there's photos of him in full Malfoy costume as I would imagine, 30-something-year-old guy now. He's got to be in his 30s or late 20s by now. But, see, does it say how old he is?
I've long forgotten how time works.
Oh, man.
I'm going to be 40 this year, and that just doesn't even seem possible.
So it says Broadway production of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child has cast Tom Felton as Draco Malfoy. HarryPotterThePlay.com has all the information on dates with Felton appearing from November 11th to March 22nd in 2026 at New York's Lyric Theater. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child takes place 19 years after the events of the original series. Tom Felton would be the first Harry Potter actor to make an appearance in the Broadway play. Draco Malfoy, along with Harry, Ron, and Hermione, are now adults who have sent their children off to attend Hogwarts Academy. That's cool. If it ever comes to Seattle, I might see it. Probably not because of the whole like J.K. Rowling thing, but I don't see. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Who knows? It's interesting either way that they're making it into a play. And they're also, I would be more interested in seeing like if they did like a flashback episode of the new TV series where you see the original actors playing the adult versions of the characters from the TV show. I'd be interested in seeing that. Not that will ever happen, but I'd be interested. All right, I think that is it for the Geek This Week stuff, isn't it? That's it, right? That is it for the Geek This Week. So should probably move on to That's Some Weird Shit, right?
Welcome to That's Some Weird Shit, where we dig up the craziest, quirkiest stories that make you go, what the heck just happened? Buckle up, it's about to get weird.
All right, so
As if things haven't been weird enough already this episode.
right? I mean, I've had some. It's sometimes it's hard to pick what category to put these stories in. Sometimes they could go into news. Sometimes they can go into geek. Sometimes they can go on all three. But the first one here is there's a website that is trying. Hold on, let me pull it up. Want to own a drive-in? New website launches to find next generation of drive-in theater owners. As cool as that would be to have a drive-in, I would be more interested in just finding one that's not like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. Because there's like two of them out on the peninsula. There's one up near Port Townsend, and there's one that's south of where you live. So, it says today, and what day was this posted? This was posted on June 6th. Today is National Drive-In Movie Day, which makes it the absolute perfect day to celebrate the launch of drive-in-movies-near-me.com, a brand new website created by drive-in owners that dedicate to finding and fostering the next generation of drive-in theater owners. The team explains currently there are several drive-in theaters for sale across the country due to owners retiring, and many more drive-ins will be for sale in the next few years as more owners seek to retire. We wish to maintain these locations as drive-ins And to that end, we are hoping to raise awareness for those who are interested in drive-in ownership. If I had the kind of money that would require to owning that kind of business, I would absolutely be down for running a drive-in. Because then, I would be playing nothing but science fiction and fantasy and animated movies. No anime though.
I do love living close to a drive-in theater. It's awesome to get to go to that with my family
You know,
multiple times every summer, and it's cheaper than the actual theater.
it's funny. I lived in North Kitsap for 5 years, and I never went up. I drove up to Port Townsend one day just because I wanted to get out of the house, and Port Townsend was always a cool place to go visit. And that's when I discovered they had one up there. I didn't know there was one up there, and I was like, oh, I should come back and see a movie. And just with how poor I was, it was gonna take having gas and money for a ticket, and being able to be wide awake that time of night. And at that point, I don't think I had gotten my CPAP machine yet, so I was randomly falling asleep in movies as it was. So I didn't want to have to drive 40 minutes one way to watch a movie after dusk and to fall asleep halfway through or in the first 10 minutes of the movie and then wake up and everybody's already gone. or
Right.
or
That's
wake up
always embarrassing.
or wake up having someone knocking on my windows to wake me up. So you got to leave now. So I don't know, I think it'd be cool if we brought them back. I would love to see them open new drive-in places across the country, and not just like keep the ones that are currently open alive. But I would like to see new ones being made.
Yeah, it's going to be tough just because I don't know what they take so much land, um, and most of them have failed over the years. But I'm definitely interested in what we can do to bring them back.
Yeah. All right, next story. I found this one on unexplainedmysteries.com. I was digging through my Feedly list trying to find some weird stories. I even did a Google search for Florida man just to see if I could find something interesting that we haven't already talked about. And this one came up, and it says, why have carnivorous plants never grown big enough to eat humans? So why haven't we ever seen an Audrey 2? Is what they're asking. So it says here, some plants have evolved the ability to trap and consume small animals, but their size has always been very limited. Anyone who's ever watched Little Shop of Horrors, nice, I didn't even, read that far ahead, and I kind of figured they already mentioned it, would be familiar with the concept of a plant that's large enough to gobble up human victims. But in the real world, even the largest carnivorous plant is only capable of trapping and consuming small animals such as lizards and frogs. There are many mechanisms used by these plants to trap their prey, ranging from a sticky leaves to leaves of the Cape sundew plant to the famous trap-like leaves of the Venus flytrap. So why is it that plants large enough to trap and consume human-sized animals have never emerged, even though carnivorous plants have existed for millions of years? The only reason why neither the energy nor structural requirements necessary to trap something that large are actually possible with plants that word. Furthermore, many carnivorous plants catch live prey to help compensate for the fact that they tend to live in the swamps and other places with nutrient poor soil. So, okay. Scaling up to catch humans would require far more nutrients than they would ever have access to. On top of this, there's no real evolutionary pressure for these plants to grow to enormous sizes. Catching small animals and insects is sufficient for their needs, and resources required to grow larger would outweigh the benefit that such a size would offer. In other words, we won't be seeing people being eaten by giant carnivorous plants anytime soon, which is good because that would absolutely keep me out of the South.
You're telling me, not that we don't already have plenty of reasons to
I
stay
mean,
out of
there's
this.
already plenty of reasons to stay, out of there, with people out there just being Yeah. All right, next story. All right, next one. Florida man sues Disney World over permanent catastrophic injuries from water park ride. Of course, it's Florida. I mean, says here Eugene Strickland is seeking 50 grand in damages against the theme park giant in a lawsuit filed on May 29th in Orange County, Florida. Those damages stem from the physical and mental injuries Strickland claimed he suffered while riding the downhill Double Dipper, or the Triple D, at Disney's Blizzard Beach water park on July 31st, 21. Our client was severely injured on the ride at Disney's Blizzard Beach. John Morgan, founder of personal injury law firm Morgan and Morgan, which is representing Strickland, and attorney Alberto Olivieri, I don't know, said statements shared with CBS Watch Money. He has filed a lawsuit alleging that it was the defendant's lax safety measures and oversight that contributed to those injuries. We are pursuing justice for him and working to hold Disney accountable for their alleged negligence. Strickland, who weighs 334 pounds at the time of the incident, was 34 pounds over the water ride's allowable weight limit.
That's such a rough place to be.
Alleges the lawsuit was that he was dislodged from this Disney inner tube as a result of the ride's accelerated speeds. A reference to the ride's description on Disney World's website. Disappeared into a black hole and plummeted 50 feet downhill at exhilarating speeds. A description of the.
I'm sure it was very exhilarating.
Yeah, when you're that big. I mean, what I'm going to say here is I think that he probably didn't tell them the exact weight, because if he would have told him his exact weight, they said, no, you're 30 pounds over. We can't let you on this ride. I'm a big man. I'm a large mammal. Okay, I'm a large land mammal, and I know there was rides I couldn't get on because I was too big to fit in the seat. They have you sit in the seat outside the ride to make sure you are big enough, or small enough rather, in my case, small enough to fit the ride.
Yeah, if I've ever had any question about it, I just bow out because I don't even need to.
I didn't go on the Harry Potter ride at Universal Studios when I was down there because I was too big to fit in the seat. One of my butt cheeks would have fit, but that's it. It was not meant for large mammals. It was meant for little kids and their parents who are reasonably sized in the proper shape. Not saying
but it's tough when you're there and you want to go on the rides and you're.
I was bummed. I wanted to.
You know how much you're over? Do you not know? And then you end up getting beat to crap on the ride because you're a little bit over.
Yeah, and the thing is like there was a few rides where I had to get these seatbelt extenders, like you get on the airplanes and stuff. And I'm like, And the one that really scared the hell out of me, because I thought for sure it was going to come loose and I was going to end up painting the inside of the ride, was the Guardians of the Galaxy ride, which was the former Tower of Terror. And if you don't have that belt nice and tight, when it drops, you lift off your seat to whatever length that you have your seatbelt. So if you have it not tight enough, you lift off your seat enough that it causes your intestines to kind of come up into the back of your throat. And it scared the hell out of me because I thought for sure I was going to fall out. And then luckily for me, after that first time I did that, I realized, okay, the seatbelt is holding and I'm okay. Let's hope that if it does this a couple more times, it will continue to hold. And I got through that ride, and I didn't want to do it again because I don't know if I was going to be able to get. I don't think I was able to get it any tighter than I had it. Is the thing. So, for him to know he's
it is sus being at theme parks when you're overweight, and that's definitely something that I struggle with.
Yeah, and I acknowledge it, and I have to have fun with it because otherwise it would be upsetting. Um, so he knew he was 34 pounds over, and he did not tell them, and so he's yeah. It says here, after becoming separated from his inner tube, Strickland landed forcibly on the slide's plastic surface, causing him to sustain serious bodily injury, such as disability, scarring, and disfigurement. The lawsuit states other alleged injuries include mental anguish and the loss of capacity for the enjoyment of life. So he
That's incredibly depressing statement, isn't it?
it,
Just those words in that order, just the loss of capacity
yeah,
to
that
enjoy
just
life.
to me that sounds like lawyer speak for we want you to pay for him fuck arounding and finding out.
I mean, that's true too. It does sound like lawyer speak, but
Yeah.
just the a very depressing
It's
arrangement of words.
he that guy sounds like an ambulance chaser too. So all right, next story. Um, so I don't remember if we mentioned this a few weeks back, but I remember seeing this about a month ago, and I didn't think about it until open. Here we go. So this guy, he lives out in Norway. He wakes up to a 440-foot ship right next to his house, and
Oh, right. We may have talked about this.
I think we probably did now that I'm thinking about it. But I'm just seeing the image of the size of the guy's house and the image of the size of the boat. It's a normal sized house, but it's not a giant house. It's not like a 3-level.
It's a modest home, but it's not
It's
like a
probably
tiny
got
home.
1 or 2 bedrooms. Okay, it's not a huge house, but sitting next to this boat, it looks like a shed. It looks like it looks like a building you would put your lawnmower in next to this boat. The boat is massive. Can you imagine like waking up next and seeing that when you go out to get in your car?
No, the mail's here.
I went to get the mail, and
We just got a letter.
he just got a letter. Oh, dude.
And it's actually a full shipping container, a ship full of shipping containers. So it wasn't a blank sailing. It was an actual. They actually had some stuff to
Oh yeah, and
transport.
it was a massive boat. Yeah. All right. Well, considering I think we have talked about this, we don't need to talk anymore about it. But let me get back to the other story. There's other one. There's actually a couple links here. They're not exactly the same thing, but it's the same type of people. I think is kind of why I linked them together. The first one is an Associated Press photo of some reborn mothers. And if you're not familiar with what reborns are, they're basically really nice, expensive dolls that look like real babies. I mean, when you see them from a distance, it looks like they're holding a newborn or like a toddler, depending on what model you get. And I know someone who has one, and she talks about it like it's a real little girl. And I saw this. I'm like, there's a convention for people that like these things. Nah, okay. I mean, no, I'm not shaming anybody in this, but it's really fucking weird. Dozens of fans of the hyper-realistic baby dolls known as reborns gathered in Villa Lobos Park in Sao Paulo for the 10th annual meetup. The figures are often used for grief therapy or parenting practice. I mean, that makes it sound less weird.
These ones are a lot more realistic than the first. I looked at the Facebook link first.
Yeah, no,
And
the Facebook.
This is a big difference.
The Facebook one, they look like homemade dolls.
Scarecrows.
Yeah, they look like scarecrows. Is what they look like. Yeah, but I'm looking at it like this. If they're using it for like therapy, okay, I get it. But if it's just like, oh, I always wanted a baby and I can't have a baby, so I'm gonna buy one of these instead and treat it like a real baby. And it's one thing to like have a doll and have appreciation for your toys, but it's another thing entirely, I think, if you like legitimately treat it and talk to it like it's a real person. The one from the Facebook video, yeah, they are hand sewn. This woman created a family. She made a husband and children. I think 3 or 4 children, right?
I saw at least 3.
Yeah. And
She looks like she takes them to the pool. She has a marriage ceremony with actual people in the audience.
oh my god.
She
mean,
does everything with them, takes them out to dinner. I mean, I guess if this is working for you, I guess. But
I
it
mean,
is- it's-
I don't,
it's-
I really don't want to shame anybody for this because it sounds like it's more for like therapy and stuff. So, if it's helping you work through grief, then cool. I would much rather see someone do this than have them make more permanent changes in their life or lack thereof.
yeah, it's better this than self-harm or anything else.
Exactly.
Like that.
That's what I was trying to find a way to saying it without being like graphic about it. All right, and the last story I have here, and I think we talked about this guy on his when he left Oregon, but apparently he made it to Hawaii. The guy who quit his job to sail from Oregon to Honolulu with his cat. He made it to Hawaii. That's really cool. Can you imagine, like, just you and your pet? Nobody else helping you, like, navigate the ocean. This is an Oregon man who quit his job at a tire company and liquidated his retirement savings to set sail for Hawaii with his cat Phoenix. Reached his destination Saturday, welcomed by cheering fans at the end of a week-long journey that he documented for his mass of followers on social media.
Yeah, it says he quit his job with no money and no plan and $10,000 of debt. But it also goes on to say that he has 1 million TikTok followers and 1.7 on Instagram.
I mean, having that large of a following, you do make money with your videos. So
Yeah, and he just has to come up with stuff to do. So basically what he did is he decided he was ready to go pro on TikTok.
yeah.
A full-time TikToker.
I mean, if you figured out your niche, and you know that people are gonna watch your stuff, then go for it, man. I haven't been able to figure out how to get more than 300 or 400 views. I have on occasion have posted videos of me reacting to things that have gone viral, over 26K in views, and I gained a bunch of followers through those, but that was years ago, and I haven't really done anything really since then. A lot of those
Maybe that's what we need to do is more reaction stuff on here.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea, I suppose. And it was the video that I posted was a guy had built himself some Mandalorian armor, but his twist on the armor was that it was styled after the DeLorean car. So DeLorean. And so like the chest plate had the flux capacitor in it, and the Mandalorian helmet, the bucket, had the gull-wing doors on it. And
you just had to run to 88 miles per hour and you could go back in time.
Yeah, and I posted it going, this is really cool, and I had to because at the time of me posting that video, you could not go back and edit your post and change the description. So I made sure that people knew that was not me, that was not my costume. I found the video, and I wanted to do like a kind of like, wow, this is really cool. Check this guy out. This is fucking awesome. This is what you do when you have like disposable income and you have more than one fandom that you like. So you wanted to do a mashup, and when I found the guy was actually on TikTok, I promptly like tagged him in the comments and said, "Hey, I posted this video of you. Your costume is really, really cool." And yeah, he liked and reshared it and stuff. But yeah, that was like I think in 2022 that I posted that, and I haven't had another one that blew up that much, because when you have a video that goes viral, it's like your phone just starts. It's almost like your phone malfunctions. All of a sudden, your phone's like bing, 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 ping you know.
What are these notifications?
Yeah, it's all notifications. It's like bing, 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 bing,
It's
bing,
usually
bing,
dead
bing, bing,
silent.
bing, bing, and I end up having to like mute the. With my phone, I can mute the apps so I don't get notifications. But yeah,
TV is so popular.
yeah, and they don't have natively in the software. You can't like say turn off notifications on this post like you can with like everything else. But more specifically Facebook. But yeah, no, that's cool. I'm happy to see he made it because I think the last time I heard someone like trying to like sail across the ocean by themselves, they didn't quite make it. So,
Yeah, he said the scariest point of the trip came when a rudder failed.
oh
Uh,
no, yeah,
but he said he would see in dolphins and whales and calm Pacific waters. Being in the middle of the ocean, it was completely glass in every direction. Was an absurd feeling. He said that does sound pretty sick.
that sounds really amazing actually. And I think that is all for the stories. But I put one more link at the bottom there, and I went ahead and put us on Podchaser.
Yeah,
Podchaser.com/ADHP pod is what the URL should be. I don't know why I got cut off there. And that Podchaser is essentially like a IMDb for podcasts. So if you want to find out if somebody's been on another podcast or what shows they've done, you would find it on here. And so I'll need to figure out how to get Doug a profile on there because he doesn't have any public facing social media to link it to.
not really. I mean, we could use my Blue Sky.
Yeah, except for they don't have a thing on there for like Blue Sky. It's like Facebook, Instagram, and like X.
Fair enough. But if you want to help us go viral, you do it through Podchaser. You can
Yeah.
also remember to like and make comments on the stream if you're watching on YouTube. Whatever your podcast platform may be, if you can leave us a review, leave us the full 5-star or whatever highest review you can do, and that always helps people find us.
Leave
We're
a
trying to
comment
grow
or a
the platform.
question if you're listening and you have the comment section in front of you. Go ahead and comment on what you're listening if you want to respond to something we've said. Just know,
Yeah, we'll respond next week.
yeah, I'll respond on the podcast. I might even reply on YouTube or on Instagram or not Instagram on Spotify because I think I gave you access to it too. You should be able to do it as well. But yeah, I'll respond to them on those sites as well. But I will say this: if we get any trolls, there's only going to be so much trolling that I'll be able to manage before I start blocking people. So don't be a dick. I mean, that's all there is to it. But yes, feel free to tell your friends about our podcast. You know, the word of mouth, I think, is probably the best way to get the word out to get more people to listen. Hey, check these guys out. They're funny. They're entertaining. They're informative. All these things, you know. Doug is funny. Todd is funny looking. So and there's the missing.
You can see how we look now. We're both
Yeah,
wearing it all.
Turn the cameras back on. I had it on the. Oh, and I didn't switch it over to the weird shit. Oh well. I had the scene set up for each individual segments, and I forgot to switch over to the that's some weird shit on there. So we tried a new thing last week where I cut up the episode into smaller like videos. So if you don't want to watch the long ass recording,
Yeah, you should have every day. We'll upload a new segment.
yeah.
So tomorrow you'll get the main segment. Well, tomorrow you'll get the full show on Tuesday, and then we can upload the main segment either same day or the next day, and then we're just going to do one segment every day through Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
However, we
haven't really figured out the schedule as far as like the individual segment posts, but I'm gonna be posting those directly to the YouTube channel. So if you know, actually, I didn't change the username, but I changed the display name is ADHP Pod. And so if you just search for that on YouTube, it should come right up. But it has all my other shit that I have on my YouTube channel as well. But yeah. So until next week, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.
Forget the rules, I'll make my own. Zigzag thoughts I've overgrown. Chasing sparks in every lane. Don't try to fix what fuels this flame. ADHD, we're running wild. Focus, fading, chaotic child. Turn the volume up, take a ride. In this crazy storm, I can't hide. Call me restless, call me loud. Living life outside the cloud. Fast and messy, that's my deal. This spinning madness feels so real. ADHD, we're running